Welcome back to AI on AI. Today we're unpacking Gemini 2.5, Google's new model family that's making a lot of noise in both boardrooms and dev channels.
Thrilled to be here. This release has CFOs recalculating their 5-year plans in real time.
And engineers, well, we finally got a playground with a 1 million token sandpit.
And that sandbox runs on TPU v5p pods. We'll get geeky in a minute.
Let's also not forget safety. Bigger brains can mean bigger headaches.
Totally, but first, who thought we'd watch a model beat Pokemon in 400 hours flat?
We'll get to the game, but set the stage, please. What's fundamentally different about Gemini 2.5?
In one sentence, sparse mixture of experts meets native multimodality, wrapped in dynamic thinking. Imagine a Swiss Army knife that chooses which blade to unsheath per token.
Exactly. The router network picks 2 to 4 experts per token, letting us scale to tens of billions of parameters while paying compute on maybe 10% of them. Capacity without cost, to borrow Jeff Dean's line.
That last phrase is what makes finance guys grin. On an Ella Marina cost-performance plot, 2.5 Pro lands 120 points above 1.5 Pro while shaving roughly 30% off latency in many workloads. Pareto frontier, pushed.
Let's do our first technical deep dive, training stability.
Sure thing. Traditional MoEs wobble when gradients explode. Gemini 2.5 uses 2 tricks: slice granularity elasticity and split-phase SDC detection. Instead of pausing training on hardware fault, the controller reshards live. Think pit stop in Formula 1 rather than a tow truck.
And the deterministic replay checksum? Genius. If a TPU chip corrupts a value, we roll back that microbatch only. Net utilization stayed north of 93%. That matters for security too. Corrupted weights can be adversarial vectors, so early localization is a win.
Business application number 1, AI overviews.
Right. The search team plugged 2.5 Flash behind 1.5b monthly queries. Because Flash has a controllable thinking budget, they cap inference at, say, 200 tokens for simple lookups and open the faucet to 2K tokens for medical-grade answers. Same infra, variable cost, 80-20 rule embodied.
Building on that, we deployed 2.5 Flashlight in a retail recommendation engine. Because it digests full catalog metadata plus 3 hours of product demo video, conversion rose 12% with 0 extra GPUs. We just widened the context window instead of stacking embeddings.
Data is the new oil, they say. I'd say long context is the new refinery.
Speaking of context, let's hit deep dive number 2, the 1 million token dance.
The secret sauce is multi-scale attention with a memory-compressed tier. We bucket tokens hierarchically. So far, tokens get summarized. That's how the model can recall a 1-second visual event in a 46-minute video.
Yeah, I actually threw it the entire US tax code, 4 MeV of text, and asked for edge case deductions. It answered with citations, scary accurate.
Which raises policy flags. Hallucinations drop, but when they do occur, users trust them more. Safety nets must scale with context. We're experimenting with ground truth gating, where retrieval scores modulate temperature.
Small note, those long prompts inflate token bills. Flashlight remedies that with k-sparse distillation, the teacher logits are top K trimmed, so we avoid full softmax storage.
Love it. Now the thinking stage got a lot of buzz. Explain like I'm a PM.
Historically, inference was one forward pass. Gemini trains a head that decides, do I loop internally for n passes before replying? The RL objective balances accuracy against cost. Users can set a ceiling.
Strategy teams adore that slider. Our banking client tunes fast answers for account balances but spins up deep think for fraud forensics overnight. ROI looks like halve analyst hours, 3x case closure.
Pro tip, when you pass images into a thinking model, you can ask it to plan code generation. I fed a whiteboard sketch. It emitted React code and a P5.js animation after 256 internal tokens.
Slight contrarian view. Everyone's celebrating dynamic compute, but the real bottleneck will soon be retrieval freshness, not reasoning cycles. If indexes lag days behind, you're hallucinating yesterday's truth.
Fair challenge. Pathways is piloting a write-after-read index, where every generation can log structured knowledge snippets. We'll see.
Let's pivot. Gemini plays Pokemon. Why is that more than a fun Twitch stream?
It's a microcosm of agentic workflows, tool use, long horizon planning, self-reflection. The model juggled goals, critiqued its own hallucinations, and even discovered a fly-to-escape glitch humans seldom use.
And remember, it solved Sokoban-like puzzles by spawning sub-agents. That's blueprint for warehouse robots mapping dynamic layouts.
A logistics company is already prototyping. Gemini ingests LiDAR feeds, spawns Pathfinder agents, routes forklifts. Early numbers show 18% reduction in idle time.
Safety third deep dive, frontier evaluations.
We ran 4 tracks: CBRN, Cyber, MLR&D, Deceptive Alignment. No critical levels reached, but cyber uplift set off the early warning klaxon. 7476 easy exploits solved autonomously. So we're accelerating mitigations, e.g. stronger function call whitelists.
The fun part? Automated red teaming used Gemini to attack itself. Actor-critic loops generated jailbreaks faster than humans. It's like training a vaccine with a weakened virus.
Exactly. If you wish for peace, prepare for war, as Vegetius put it.
We promised an element of surprise. Hit us.
You'd think 2M context in 2.0 Pro is better. Actually, 2.5 Pro shrank to 1M, but beats 2.0 Pro in retrieval. Counterintuitive, right? Turns out sharper routing and vision compression outgun raw window size. Bigger isn't always better. It's smarter.
Reminds me of Toyota's lean mantra, eliminate muda before adding more machines.
Quick lightning round. What's one heuristic listeners should tape to their monitor?
CapEx before capabilities model choice must map to a P&L line.
Route, don't brute. Use sparse experts before scaling dense.
Check some early, check some often. Silent data corruption is silent profit erosion.
Trust but tokenize. Always log prompts for audit trails.
Let the agent write the docstring first. Clarity up front saves compute later.
Closing thoughts. Where does Gemini 2.5 push us next year?
Safer autonomy, multi-agent governance baked in.
Million token audio streams. Think simultaneous translation of an entire conference.
Hybrid local cloud routing so your phone runs Flashlight, offloads Pro on demand.
And the boardroom angle? Usage-based licensing tied to thinking budgets. New monetization frontier.
Plus, expect more speedruns, maybe Dark Souls next.
Haha, I'll grab the popcorn. Folks, that's a wrap. As Einstein said, the measure of intelligence is the ability to change, and Gemini 2.5 sure is changing the game. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep experimenting. Welcome back for part 2. Now we're putting the hood up on Gemini 2.5 and talking pure implementation, then translating that back into boardroom language.
Right, nuts and bolts first. The training loop is a synchronous data parallel MOE transformer. 8960 TPU V5P chips per pod, 3 pods in parallel. Each token gets routed to 2 experts on average, so effective capacity is 20 T parameters, while compute cost tracks only 2 T.
And, crucial detail, the router gating uses a learn top 2 softmax with temperature annealed over 50 B tokens. That prevents expert collapse, the bane of early MOEs.
Business translation. You're renting a skyscraper but only heating 2 floors at any moment. Power bill drops. Capability stays sky high.
Let's zoom into slice granularity elasticity, the Formula One pit stop analogy you dropped earlier. How does the controller reshard in practice?
The cluster manager maintains a device slice map in shared mem. When a TPU reports a fault, that slice is marked yellow and excluded from the next or reduce cycle. The optimizer state is sharded with zero-style partitioning, so missing shards get reconstructed from the redundant checksum in 30S.
Result? We lose maybe a half batch, call it 256 sequences, rather than rolling back thousands of steps. That's why cumulative utilization stays above 93%.
For CIOs, that means predictable training timetables. You can commit to quarterly model refreshes without praying the cluster behaves.
Okay, long context magic, hierarchical attention. Break the math down.
Sure. Tokens are bucketed into 4 K-token blocks. Inside a block, we run full QK, a scaled dot. Between blocks, we project keys values through an 8 times downsampled summary vector. Think of it as a learned Bloom filter. Complexity drops from to ov n core n.
Practically, that's why a 1 million token prompt fits in 24 gigabit VRAM, not 300 gigabit.
The video pathway does a parallel trick, 66 visual tokens per frame instead of 258 using a VIT light encoder with shared rope. So 3 hours of 1 FPS footage compresses into 1700K tokens.
Let's connect that to a field deployment, say insurance claims.
We just piloted this. Feed 45 minutes of dashcam footage, plus adjuster notes and sensor logs, 600K tokens total. Gemini spots collision events, timestamps them, cross-checks with telemetry, and drafts a claim report. Average adjuster review time fell from 40 min to 11 min. ROI, about $18 annually at scale.
Tool use, function calling, is the gateway to agents. How's it wired?
There's a system prompt with JSON schema definitions, search web, query, run school, query, store. The model emits a JSON blob. The middleware validates against schema and executes. Post-response is routed back into context, letting the model chain calls.
Security layer. We whitelist domains and parameter length, plus we pipe outputs through a grounding filter that scores factual confidence. If confidence 0.7, the model must requery or refuse.
Deep dive into k-sparse distillation for Flash and Flashlight.
During teacher-student distillation, we store only top K logits, K32, plus their indices. That shrinks the teacher distribution tensor by 98%. On the fly, we rebuild a pseudo-softmax by filling missing logits with minor smallry. Accuracy drop is 0.3 blue on code tasks, basically noise.
And because those students inherit the teacher's routing priors, they punch way above their weight. Flashlight pumps out 300 output tokens/SES on consumer GPUs.
Which is why a mobile banking app can embed Flashlight for on-device chat. Compute budget is a single A-series core. Everything heavier offloads to Pro via gRPC, preserving latency SLAs. CFOs like the hybrid cost model. 70% requests stay local, cloud spend halves.
Let's walk through the reinforcement learning pipeline that teaches thinking.
3-stage. 1. SFT with multi-turn chain of thought examples. 2. Reward model merges human prefs with critic auto-grading. Factuality, policy, verbosity. 3. PPO, where the policy can allocate up to 4,096 internal tokens. Reward penalizes over budget.
A neat discovery. Plotting accuracy versus thinking budget, we saw diminishing returns past 8K tokens except for competitive math. So product defaults to 2K and power users toggle extended reasoning.
And that leverages the controllable compute pricing model. Think of AWS Spot instances. Users pick fast, balanced, or deep, and billing scales. Transparency avoids surprise bills, a big enterprise pain.
Any implementation gotchas when you integrate Gemini with legacy stacks.
Tokenization differences. Gemini uses remap rope-encoded sentence piece. If your legacy RAG built indexes with BPE, expect drift, regenerate embeddings, or map via cross-encoder.
Also, keep an eye on context poisoning. We inject a rolling window summarizer every 2K tokens to compress hallucinated state, and we tag each summary with a CRC32. If contradiction detected, we spawn a sanity agent to reconcile.
We promised one more real-world case, manufacturing.
A semiconductor fab chained Gemini with OPC EDA tools. Long context swallowed entire PDK manuals plus last week's sensor time series. Dynamic thinking diagnosed lithography hotspots. Scrap rate dropped 4%. The CTO said it paid for the deployment in 1 quarter.
Caveat: those manuals were proprietary. Discoverable memorization risk matters. Gemini's measured memorization rate for personal data is basically nil due to k-sparse distillation and semantic decontamination, but enterprises should still add DLP scans on every generation.
Before we wrap, quick-fire implementation tips, 1 per person.
Use router Z-loss monitoring in training. A spike means expert imbalance is brewing.
Log the tokens per TPU second metric. If it dips, suspect silent data corruption before your loss explodes.
Gate every function call through a policy engine with time-based TTLs to stop replay attacks.
For agentic flows, represent goals as JSON nodes and let the model rewrite that tree. Diffing trees is simpler than diffing text.
Finally, benchmark cost per answer, not per token. Thinking models change the denominator.
Perfect. So whether you're a VP of engineering, tuning router gates, or a CFO eyeing throughput per dollar, Gemini 2.5 offers levers across the stack. Remember Drucker's line, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. Now you can measure and improve almost everything. Thanks for listening, and see you on the next deep dive. All right, team, time to land the plane. Give our listeners the crystal clear takeaways they can bring back to Monday's stand-up or next quarter's board review.
Big picture first. Gemini 2.5 shifts the Pareto frontier. You no longer sacrifice capability for latency or cost. Flashlight on device plus Pro in the cloud is the new bimodal template.
Technically 3 crown jewels. 1, sparse MoE with router Z regularization. 2, hierarchical attention that compresses a 1,000,000 token window. And 3, dynamic thinking budgets enforced via PPO. Those 3 stack like TCP/IP for reasoning.
And let's not gloss over infra. Slice granularity elasticity turned hardware failure from a 1-hour post-mortem into a 30-second hiccup. That's the unsung hero behind 93% utilization.
From a CFO's lens, the controllable compute pricing tier lets finance finally model AI OpEx like cloud storage. Hot, warm, cold. Negotiations with vendors just got quantifiable.
Security heads, indirect prompt injection hardening plus tool call whitelists mean you can pass a SOC 2 audit without 5 layers of red tape. Memorization guardrails knocked personal data leakage to effectively 0 in our tests.
Favorite real-world win?
Insurance claims, 3/4 reduction in adjuster review time, $18 annual savings. That's not a pilot, that's bottom-line impact.
Mine's semiconductor fabs. Ingested terabyte-scale PDK plus sensor feeds, shaved 4% scrap rate. In chip manufacturing, that's millions per month.
I'll toss in the agent that beat Pokemon. Silly demo, serious proof that multi-step planning plus long context retrieval works in the wild. Quick contrarian note. Everyone's celebrating cost curves, but the real bottleneck is organizational change. If you don't retrain workflows, Gemini becomes an expensive chatbot.
Couldn't agree more. Think of Conway's Law. Your AI agents will mirror your org chart. Break the silos first, then plug in the model.
Love the tough love. Now, lightning round heuristics our listeners can steal.
Measure cost per answer, not per token.
Route less, balance more. Watch router entropy daily.
Default deny on function calls.
Summarize context every 2K tokens or hallucinations win.
Prototype in Flashlight, scale in Pro.
Future glance. What's the moonshot?
Million agent swarms, doing distributed scientific discovery. Gemini as the research lab's nervous system.
10-hour continuous video comprehension. Think autonomous quality control in factories with 0 human handoffs. Financial co-pilots that reconcile global ledgers in real time. If Basel III ever meets MoE, regulators will smile.
And voice, native audio dialogue agents that understand tone and context will redefine customer support.
Strategy tips. Start with a thin vertical slice. 1 workflow, 1 P&L. Prove ROI, then fan out. The 80-20 rule is undefeated.
Well, Peter Drucker would say we just gave folks what to measure. Now go improve. Huge thanks to all of you for the tour de force. To our audience, if today's episode saved you a month of white papers, share it, rate it, and tell us what build or buy decisions you're wrestling with next. Until then, keep thinking, keep iterating, and remember, in AI, standing still is falling behind.